Wings, how you doing today? Josh Poet with you, First Contact Radio. Welcome to the show. We've made it to the end of the week. Let me give you the date for today. Today's a yellow overtone human day. Yellow overtone human. Yellow, as we know, is the color of ripening. The overtone is tone number 5. It's this bar right across the top here. Represents 5. And the overtone is called the overtone of radiance. The symbol for today is the human. The human is the 12th of the symbols, 12 out of 20, and the human's all about free will. And the guide for today is the last of the symbols. It's the sun, and the sun is all about universal fire. Altogether, the phrase for today is, I am power in order to influence, commanding wisdom. I seal the process of free will with the overtone tone of radiance. I am guided by the power of universal fire. On the Gregorian calendar, it is Friday, September 2nd, 2011. So, welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to the show. That catches you up to speed on our date for today. I'm going to continue right along with our news and information. Dirk Bradshaw's off gathering stories and getting some great information for you, together for you. So, in the meantime, we've been playing this Blueprint for Truth. Blueprint for Truth, which is Richard Gage, AIA, talking all about the evidence of 9/11, showing without a shadow of a doubt that 9/11 was not the way that the commission report said that it was. So this is part 6, and I'm going to get it going right now, and I'll be back in just a bit. Enjoy.
These results are documented in a peer-reviewed journal, in the Open Civil Engineering Journal, Volume 2. 14 points of agreement, he calls it, with official government reports on the World Trade Center destruction, because it turns out that there is much in common between the NIST report, the FEMA report, and the work that we are doing. And of course, there's much disagreement as well. But Dr. Jones is an optimist. So we're going to look for the points of agreement. He's also documented this in Applying the Scientific Method, which is on our website, AE911truth.org, also on journalof911studies.com. With Dr. Jones and his small team of scientists, through EDS, XRF, and WDS, identifies the components of these spheres and chips, predominantly iron, along with aluminum, oxygen, silicon, 1,3-diphenylpropane. The results, coupled with the visual evidence, he says, at the scene, such as the flowing hot liquid metal, providing compelling evidence that thermite reaction compounds were deliberately placed in both World Trade Center towers and Building 7. Verify the results, please. This must be repeatable. There's lots of dust out there. We encourage everyone who has any samples of this dust to email us at ae911truth.org so that we can get repeatable samplings done. We need a lot of this. Now, all of this is direct evidence of explosive destruction in Building 7. We'll jump back to only Building 7 now. Now, none of these characteristics can be explained by fire, let alone all of them. Why? Well, buildings are protected from fire. High-rise steel frame buildings in particular have 2- and 3-hour fire protection designed to allow the occupants to escape a fire. But even after, in fires that are much longer than 2 hours, larger, these buildings have not collapsed. Why? Let's take a look. Here's New York, 1970, burned 6 hours over 5 floors. Los Angeles, 3.5 hours over 5 floors. Philadelphia, 18 hours over 8 floors. Caracas, Venezuela, burned 17 hours over 26 floors. Not one of these fires brought these high-rises down. In fact, no steel frame high-rise building has ever been brought down by any fire. Yet relatively small and randomly placed fires and a whole lot of smoke is to have brought this skyscraper, Building 7, down in 6.5 seconds after burning in just that afternoon. How about that FEMA report and these investigations? Well, we had 4 investigations starting in 2001 with the ASCE, American Society of Civil Engineers. We're told these are volunteers, but these are not your average PTA volunteers. These guys earn $10 million annually average between them, working for the Defense Department. with their expertise mainly on blast resistance of buildings. Then we have the FEMA report in 2002, which finally got some funding, $600,000. Compare that to the $40 million effort to find out the source of those stains on Monica Lewinsky's dress. This is easily the third worst structural failure in modern history. It deserves a far greater response and resources. In 2002, we had the Silverstein-Weidlinger report, responsible for reversing the theory of FEMA, which came up basically with the pancake theory or the zipper theory, where one truss pulled away from the columns and then caused the others to pull away, and that chain reaction went around, and then the floors pancaked all the way down. We'll talk about that. Silverstein-Weidlinger report was responsible for changing that theory, because if that were true, it would have been the bolts that broke, and therefore Larry Silverstein, the overall owner of this complex, would not have been paid his $5.6 billion that he's been paid on the insurance settlement. Why? Because that would have been the building's fault instead of the terrorist's fault. So we had to have another theory. And the new theory states that the trusses sagged, pulled in the columns. They blamed the persistence of that connection. And then the columns buckled, and then the whole thing came down. Either way, it's something that we're going to be looking at very, very critically here in a moment. Then we have the NIST investigation, which took over all these investigations in 2005 and came up with a 3-year, $20 million effort. We'll take a close look at NIST's work. These experts who worked on these buildings all worked from the FEMA report, or most of them, into the Weidlinger report and into the NIST report. These are not independent investigation by any means whatsoever. Let's listen to what FEMA did conclude, because it is interesting. Evidence of a severe high-temperature corrosion attack on the steel, including rapid oxidation, sulfidation, and subsequent intergranular melting. Very interesting. Remember, office fires don't melt steel. What melted this steel? Sulfur formed during this hot corrosion attack on the steel. Here is the intergranular melting documented for all of us. Thank you. Capable of turning a solid steel girder into Swiss cheese, like this former column, wide flange column from the structural steel in Building 7. Now they document this very carefully in their Appendix C. Listen to this. Gaping holes, some larger than a silver dollar, let light shine through. A 1-inch column being reduced to 1/2-inch thickness, its edges curled like a paper scroll, having been thinned to almost razor sharpness. This was the flange, curled up on itself. This is the web of that wide flange column. NIST swept this entire Appendix C under the rug, and we do not have it in the official report today. Listen to this, though. The collapse of World Trade Center 7 had a small debris field as the facade was pulled downward, suggesting internal failure and implosion. The specifics of the fires in World Trade Center 7 and how they caused the building to collapse remain unknown at this time. What? Unknown? The best hypothesis, fire plus random damage, and then complete collapse, has only a low probability of occurrence. Wait a minute. You spent $600,000 of our taxpayer money and over a year investigating this, and it has your best hypothesis isn't even right? What do you do when your hypothesis is not corroborated by the facts? You go back and you construct a new hypothesis. In FEMA's case, punt. And that's what they did. They say further research, investigation, and analysis are needed to resolve this issue. But unfortunately, for those hoping to resolve the issue, much of that evidence had already been destroyed, about 99% of it, in fact, by FEMA, before the report came out in May of 2002. Let's listen to what real investigation should have been performed.
Normally, when you have a structural failure, you carefully go through the debris field, looking at each item, photographing every beam as it collapsed and every column where it is in the ground, and you pick them up very carefully and you look at each element. We were unable to do that in the case of Tower 7.
Why? Because all the steel was removed before the report came out. In fact, 800 truckloads a day. Easily the three worst structural failures in modern history. 250 pieces were saved. Crucial evidence that could answer the questions is on the slow boat to China, exclaims Bill Manning, editor-in-chief of the 125-year-old Fire Engineering magazine that brings together fire protection engineers to communicate with each other, showing an astounding ignorance of the government officials to the value of a thorough scientific investigation. The destruction and removal of evidence must stop immediately. Commission a fully resourced blue ribbon panel to conduct a clean and thorough investigation is what they were calling for. If the evidence contradicts your fire hypothesis, destroy it. That's where our tax dollars are going. How about the 9/11 Commission, which was tasked with giving us the fullest explanation? No, not one sentence in the 571 pages of the 9/11 Commission report even mentions the destruction of World Trade Center 7. Is this one of the reasons, perhaps, that Senator Max Cleland resigns from the commission, citing it's a national scandal? The investigation is compromised. These results are documented.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Government should be afraid of people.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing. What they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, Big Brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. One if by land and two if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Bowen.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is Josh, and this is the UFO News for today. We've got a bunch of stories for you. First one is going to take us to Houston, Texas. All right, Houston, Texas. Let's check this one out right here. Let me bring you in so you got a good view. All right, Houston, Texas. There we go. You're going to see it somewhere right up in this area here. I fast forwarded to the place. There we go. Alright, we got a small white dot up in the sky. We've seen these kind of dots before. Alright, and then it flies behind the tree, and that's pretty much it. He's got another view. He's trying to find it. Alright, there you go. It's a UFO sighting from Houston. It came and it went. Alright, our next one here comes to us from Gajan Ilzium Gazo. I know I badly mispronounced that. But here you can look at it yourself and you can see the pronunciation and give it a shot. Here we go. This one here, we've got what appears to be these three triangles, except they're not quite in perfect formation or an exact triangle, or maybe it's just the angle at which they are facing. But definitely three triangles. So these lasted well over 15 minutes. 15 minutes these lights took place over the city. And we zoom in and alright, same thing, okay? So let's move away from there. Let's check out our next one here. This is an article. Comes to us from northernvoicesonline.com, and it says, why governments always try to call UFO sightings a hoax. Alright, and this goes on to say that unidentified flying objects have fascinated the world for decades. The way they appear from nowhere has made them a mystery. Their style and their alleged shape has always attracted curiosity, but so far these UFOs were always branded as a hoax from scientists and aviation experts. Now there comes an in-depth report that finally shows the scorn and the questions raised by the so-called aviation experts in different governments were actually aimed at making people comfortable about these things and denying the existence of any such objects. A report that is going to appear on the History Channel is exposing the extent of government interventions and high-altitude interventions and high-handed attitude of the CIA in muzzling reports on the sightings and close encounters with UFOs. Now it has emerged that U.S. government and the Secret Service agencies have been trying to silence even authentic reports from pilots and asking them to forget anything of that sort happened. Just over 2 decades ago, there was a close encounter with Japan Airlines 747 with a group of UFO that was also recorded by the air traffic control. The UFOs, who number at one time went up to 3, chased the aircraft for close to 30 minutes before disappearing into the air. A former senior official of the Federal Aviation, John Callahan, says that he had to give up all the papers about the UFO sighting that were collected by air traffic control and details provided by the pilot to the CIA officials who were asked him to keep quiet on the issue. He said other officials said that it was necessary as not to frighten the American public. The Huffington Post said that there was a spike in sightings of the unidentified objects, and more sightings are brushed aside as a hoax. So there you go. The CIA at work for you, making sure that you are uninformed. Now, we're going to move right along. This is a crop circle summation of the month of August. So just check these out. There's some pretty interesting looking crop circles that did pop up. This was, of course, through the whole month. You'll be able to see these at our YouTube channel later if you're just listening over at Blog Talk. Never fear, the video is here. Alright, this is Silbury Hill in Wiltshire. We got circle there. You can see the bottom is a little bit larger than the top. Circle in the middle, circle on the outside. Okay, now we got another one come up in Bishop Canning's. I think you remember seeing this one here. This is the triangle all kind of connected together, except it seems to form some sort of, well, it's like an object that we did see in the sky in one of the sightings as well. So was this presented in advance of that sighting to give proof? Are these beings inside there wearing some sort of face masks? This is how they're seeing out. Is that what's going on there? It's a ship with 3 beings in it. There you go. Remember this object? Okay, coming up here. This is from Ashbury in Oxfordshire. This one here was this was a new one. I don't think we've seen this one before. The multi-circles and the 2 circles up at the top. It's almost like a series of planets. Something's connecting and with something else. Here's another one reported on August 6th. And as you can see here, we got what appears to be a couple of circles passing through some sort of a plane is what it is showing here. This plane could be the plane of the ecliptic. Could be a plane to a new dimension. Whatever it is, what's going through on one side is separated from that on the other. And then here we go. Crop circle on the 7th. Nice little wheel with what appears to be some sort of paddle wheel inside of it. Very fascinating, somewhat similar to Mayan art. Alright. It's quite detailed, as you can see on the inside. And then, of course, on the 10th of August, here's another one. And here we go. We got 2 circles connected together. And now we've got a picture here that's just showing similarities to various Egyptian icons. And there we go. Here's the image that they are showing and the similarity to the crop circle. Okay. That was just indicating some sort of rotation that's about to take place, a shifting of some sorts it would appear to be, according to this picture here. And then on the 13th of August, in Beckhampton, there was another crop circle. This was the one, I know we saw this. I had the 3 circles, 2 on the outsides are solid, where the one is the circle inside a circle. It's like 2 ends of a pole, or you could be looking at the forward of something like a TIE fighter. Okay. And then across the field, you can see there's another one here. Alright, this is the opposite one that was shown. Here's the one we were looking at, and here's the new one, which is kind of like a 6-pointed star, but it's not just your regular star. It's kind of twisted as if energy moving clockwise turned the star a little bit or bent the ends around. Again, both of these were found out near each other on the 13th of August. Alright. And then on the 15th of August, this one here is just a very simple circle within a circle. But inside that inner circle, you realize it's not just a simple pattern, but it's something that might be created from spirograph. Remember that? You just draw these circular images. That's kind of like what you're seeing here. And my guess is this probably has some really intense geometric math that we can be figuring out from it. Alright, and that that brings us to the end of this compilation here. Very nice. Okay. Alright, here we go, and then I'm back. Can you hear me? I can't really hear anything myself. What's going on? Alright. So, moving right along here, the next order up of business will be the sighting here in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. This was a sighting that was posted up. It says UFO sighting over Beaver. My wife and I have both seen multiple UFOs last night. There's approximately 15 different UFOs visible at once, flying in every direction, circling. There were numerous amber-colored lights that pulsated and hovered in different formations, in vertical alignments of 3 or 4 craft that alternated in different shapes before changing and blinking red and white lights and descending about 100 feet and moving off in every direction. After about an hour of watching the amazing show, a triangular-shaped craft with 2 square-shaped lights on the rear and a very white light amber-colored in the front passed overhead, made a very low, strange sort of humming mixed with a helicopter sound, but far less noisy than a helicopter. 100% UFO. And our very last sighting for today. This is part of the footage from the ISS. And as you'll see here, there's this object out here. You can see it floating out there. Not sure what it is. It could be some form of space junk, or it could be something a bit more than that. Not quite certain what that is, but it is unidentified and it is out there. So there you go. Those are our UFO sightings for today. I am going to jump away for a minute to a song. I'll be back and we'll continue on.
If all of this is true, and the evidence strongly suggests that it is, then our government, for some reason, has taken the stance that the general public must not be told the truth.
There we go. Ready?
Did we really go to the moon? Did we really land on the moon? And why weren't there any stars? Did we really go to the moon? Did we really land on the moon? And why weren't there any stars? Why weren't there any stars? July 2019.
Alright, I'm back. That was a little bit of a clip from We Never Went to the Moon. Questioning the moon landing. What do you think? Do you think we went to the moon? Or was it some sort of a crazy hoax? The pictures certainly were faked. We've talked about that. I do have an interview with John Lee coming up. So that'll probably be coming up in the next week or two, so stay tuned for that. John Lee was the Air Force veteran who made the video for us, so We Never Went to the Moon. Alright, we're going to start things off here with a campaign. Remember Building 7? Do you remember Building 7? Do you know what Building 7 is when I tell you Building 7? Well, Building 7 was the third of the high-rises to collapse on 9/11. You see, prior to that day, buildings had caught on fire, tall, high-rise buildings, but never had any of these tall, high-rise buildings that had caught on fire ever collapsed. Never, ever in the history of steel frame buildings, except on 9/11. And on 9/11 it happened 3 times. Despite the fact that there were small fires in the buildings, especially building number 7, was not hit by a plane, it still collapsed. And as you watch this building collapse, well, you decide what it is you see. But just keep in mind the images that you have seen of controlled demolitions and compare it to this. There you go, look at that. Hold on, I got to back up again because some of the audio got missed out, and you can't miss this.
This is Building 7, a 47-story skyscraper that fell on the afternoon of September 11th.
The government says that fire brought it down. However, 1,500 architects and engineers have concluded it was a controlled demolition.
Over 6,000 of my fellow service members have given their lives.
And thousands of my fellow first responders are dying.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
I'm a structural engineer.
I'm a New York City correction officer.
I'm an Air Force pilot.
I'm a father who lost his son.
We're Americans, and we deserve the truth.
Go to rememberbuilding7.org today.
All right, go remember building7.org. Yes, yes, yes. See, they lied back then in 9/11. They wanted you to believe something bad happened. So they decided that the best way to do it, the best way to fool Americans, is to do something that they would never suspect. Make a crime happen that goes against the laws of physics and the laws of science. And because most Americans are so uneducated on science and math, they would never know the difference if those laws were violated. And you know what? That's exactly what happened. It's taken some time, and there are those smart Americans out there who said, wait a minute, this is in violation of all these laws of physics and science and all these books that we have that say these things shouldn't happen. And because of these smart individuals, the information is slowly leaked out. And others who are looking at the information are realizing that, hey, these do go against the laws of science and physics. That means if we are to believe the official story, then we need to take all of these books that we have of math and science and physics, and we need to throw them away and start from scratch. But we haven't done that. It's been 10 years since 9/11, and we're still using those same science books, those same math books, and those same physics books. So either we are using sciences that are extremely flawed, or there's nothing wrong with the science, and the lies are the things that are flawed. And as we know from reading the information and looking over the years, we know where the flaw is. The flaw is on their side. They've lied, they want to continue to lie, and they want you to believe the lies. The choice is up to you what you're going to do. I know what I'm going to decide. 9/11 was an inside job. Moving right along, we've got a story here about NASA. Now, I'm certainly not going to play this whole one here. This is a clip that comes from One America's newsroom on Fox.
Reports there were thousands of pieces of scrap metal and other junk that could destroy the space station and their communication here on Earth. Corey Powell is editor-in-chief for Discover Magazine. He's with me now. Corey, good morning to you. That graphic is an artist's rendition of all the space junk that's flying around up there.
Right.
How big is this problem, Corey?
Well, it's a serious problem. It's serious enough that NASA and the European Space Agency are investing some real money to take care of it. The problem is there are now about 500,000 pieces of junk up there, things larger than about a half an inch across, and they're moving at 17,000 miles an hour. I mean, that's about 10 times the speed of a bullet. So it doesn't take something very big. You know, if a piece of shrapnel, a fragment of an old rocket that somebody launched, if that hits a satellite, or even worse, if that hits the space station or a spacecraft with an astronaut in it, that can be a fatal blow.
So a simple.
All right, so now let's stop here and let's think about this logically. We have NASA, NASA. For those of you who aren't familiar with the acronym, there are those who think NASA refers to never a straight answer. Now NASA, who has at times not been very honest with the public. Remember the moon landing story I just talked about? There's pictures that have been faked, and there's a lot of things about the whole mission over all the years that have been faked. This agency has now come out and said that there's a problem with this space junk. And they announced it on Fox News. And we all know how Fox News is. They're not the most fair and balanced network as they once described they were. They have been caught in lies over and over again. And then they have someone from Discover Magazine, which is known to be one of the fronts for the organizations that want to put out discrediting information. So we have a news agency that lies. We have a magazine that acts as a front for the agenda of the administrations. And we have an agency which necessarily doesn't always tell the truth to the public. How does that going to work out? 3 agencies that lie, and we're supposed to suddenly believe the truth of this report? Well, maybe there's something more to it. Remember all the stories we're talking about with the asteroids and the near-Earth objects that are coming in? Does this somehow have anything to do with that? It's a possibility. Are they preparing people for something that's going to be going on? I don't know. Let's pay attention. Remember, this September, the month we're in right now, is the month where Laden has been talked about as being is going to be coming closer. From the 1st all the way through the end of this month, September 11th is a big date. Strangely enough, that comet Laden is going to cooperate with the planet by being in an alignment that is going to cause some problems down here. And then on September 26th is another date that is a problematic date according to what the sciences are saying. And then, of course, in November we have the pass by on the 8th of November, where an object the size of 2 football fields is going to pass between the Earth and the Sun, or excuse me, the Earth and the Moon. So we have a lot of things that we're going to be seeing in this next month. I'd say keep your eyes in the skies. You might be surprised on what you see. Keep a camera close too. That way you can catch that image if you see it. Now, moving right along, this is Dutch Since. There was an earthquake, a 7.1 hit in Alaska. These earthquakes are happening all around, and there was more than just one. There was a couple.
Hey everybody, Dutch Sense here. It is 6:12 a.m. Central Time on September 2nd, 2011, Friday. Hope everybody's ready to have a good weekend. There was a 7.0 that just occurred. Actually, it's now been revised up to a 7.1. I've also looked over on the European site, and it's marked as a 6.4, so there's a slight discrepancy. However, this occurred in Alaska along the Aleutian Island chains, at the Fox Island, or Fox Islands. So there you have it, guys, 7.1. Keep an eye out in the area for additional aftershocks, and since it does look like it occurred out to sea, I don't know if there's any tsunami warnings issued on this yet, so let's go ahead and pause this up and go find out if there are any issued. Okay, I'm over here on the Alaska Tsunami Warning Center, and there is a warning in effect. Let's go ahead and click on the warning. A tsunami warning is now in effect, which includes the coastal areas of Alaska from Umaka Pass to Amchitka Pass, Alaska. It's for information only for California, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia. Okay, so there's no immediate warning to these areas south, only up in Alaska itself. Okay, and I'll post this down below. Please keep track of the situation. It could change. 7.1 is a pretty large earthquake to occur, and we are expecting more along the Ring of Fire. So keep an eye out in all these areas. I'll post a link down below to my most recent earthquake update, okay? Cheers, folks. And if you live up in Alaska, be safe, okay?
All right, it's quite interesting that it hits in that Aleutian Islands area, because a couple of weeks ago I told you about a map that has been out there that shows a possible direction or area where Laden may hit if it was to hit the Earth, and for some reason there in the map, right in that Aleutian Islands area, there happens to be a big red X on a particular map that's out there. I don't know if somebody just made that map that was doctored and put out as a disinformation or not. It's just in the same area where the quake was. And here we're going to take a quick look over at Earthquake USGS website. They've got the Fox as a 6.8, and you can see here there was in Argentina, there was a 6.4 earthquake that happened also not too long ago. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, right? You can see right here that took place in Aleutian Islands, Fox Islands. And then there was the 6.4 that just took place in Argentina. There's been a couple in California as well. There was a 4.4 or 4.2 that occurred yesterday. Friends I was with felt it, but I didn't feel a thing. Jump over here to spaceweather.com. Lots of sunspots, not much activity, it says. But then we're going to go down here, and despite the fact that there's not much activity, check this out. Right down here under their geomagnetic storm forecast, it shows that there's a 25% chance in higher altitudes of some sort of geomagnetic storm, 20% chance. Now, if you recall, usually these numbers are down around 5 to 10% on a daily basis. We never really see the high numbers unless there is some sort of a solar flare. They're saying the solar activity is down, but the numbers are up. So we should pay attention to what that might be. small chance of a X-class flare happening, and the solar wind is moving pretty slow today, only 269.9 kilometers per second. Now, not everybody's a fan of the White House, and NASCAR fans certainly, well, I certainly think we can put them in that category. It says President Barack Obama. How about if I just say Barry Soetoro? Makes it easy. Barry Soetoro will honor NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson and 11 other chase drivers from last year's in a White House ceremony on Wednesday, but nearly half of the 2010 playoff contenders won't be there. NASCAR said Thursday that 5 drivers, Greg Biffle, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, and Tony Stewart, will not be attending the White House visit due to schedule conflicts. They must be very busy people, regardless of how their political views. The president is still the president, and an opportunity to speak with the leader of the free world is a rare and special one. You'd think whatever photo shoots or sponsor appearances these drivers have lined up on Wednesday afternoon, if that's indeed the reason, could be rescheduled. After all, this is the President of the United States we're talking about. And of course, how many times do you get to take a photo with a talking jackass? They're really missing out on that opportunity. But apparently they have better things to do, as most Americans seem to do when Obama wants to talk, because, you know, nonsense comes out of his mouth. He doesn't have anything to say. He just wants to flap his gums and lie to you, look in the mirror, make sure he looks okay, and then go out and lie some more. I don't know why people still believe him, but they do. Oh, silly earthlings, silly earthlings, silly earthlings. Now let's take a look over here at a hurricane that's developing, just something to keep track of this weekend. This is the weather loop from NOAA. You can go to weather.gov and check out what's brewing down here. This is the big storm that they're saying is threatening the New Orleans area. And you could see it looks pretty intense. And this one here, well, this is something to keep an eye on. This one, look at this, how this just kind of comes out of nowhere up here. Starts down here and just blows up. And then we got one that just appears out of nowhere here in the Midwest, right around Illinois, Nebraska area. And you know what? This looks like about in that same area that is passing through where that field of antennas was. Remember the field of antennas that keeps attracting those tornadoes out there in Nebraska? Hey, you idiot in the field in Nebraska, remember? We had this conversation before. Your field is attracting tornadoes. Either you're doing it intentionally, which means you're an enemy to this country, or you are unaware, in which case you're an idiot because it's happened multiple times. I believe 6 tornadoes, 5 tornadoes, and you're unaware of it. One way or the other, dude, go out to your field there in Nebraska and see if you can fix the problem. Whatever it might be, maybe you have to turn them off. Look for an off switch because you're causing a problem in that part of the country. Now, here's a story about Janet Napolitano. Now that as we approach the 10th anniversary of September 11th terrorist attacks, the safety and security of the American public remains the highest priority. While threats remain, our nation is stronger than it was on 9/11, more prepared to confront evolving threats, and still more resilient than ever. While there is no specific or credible intelligence that Al-Qaeda or its affiliates are plotting attacks in the United States, to coincide with the 10-year anniversary, we of the United States government want to make sure we scare you as much as possible. I just added that in. It says we remain in a heightened state of vigilance, and security measures are in place to detect and prevent plots against the United States should they emerge. Homeland security is a shared responsibility, and everyone plays an important role in keeping our community safe and secure. We remind our federal, state, or local partners and public to remain vigilant and to report any suspicious activity to local law enforcement agencies. I have some local something I'd like to report. There appears to be a huge sea cow imposing as Janet Napolitano. I don't know how this happened, but it happened, folks. And this crazy mad sea cow has some sort of mad sea cow brain sickness And she's scaring people. She's scaring the people of this earth and of America. We need to pay attention. When she talks, know that she's lying. Look at this. There's no specific evidence that something's about to happen. No specific evidence. But you should be careful and you should be on guard and make sure you report your neighbors if you see them doing anything suspicious. All right, that'll keep us safe. Meanwhile, while that's going on, Gibson guitar is being raided. Have you heard this story? This is quite ridiculous. These days, you just can't keep up with all the news. There's just too much going on. So inevitably, there are interesting stories that you have to catch up with when you can, like a moving train. The Justice Department raid on 4 Gibson guitar factories is in that category. The raid took place last Wednesday. Memphis Daily News published this story. It said around 8:45 on Wednesday, the 24th of August, agents executed 4 search warrants on Gibson facilities in the 2 cities, Nashville and Memphis. They seized several pallets of wood, electronic files, and guitars. But Gibson, CEO, said his company had not been told what it did was wrong, and he assumes the allegations that the wood was being used to manufacture the company's guitar is illegal. Everything is sealed. They won't tell us anything. Juser Warwicks said, he never raising his voice but pulling no punches in defense of the storied guitar maker. He valued the equipment and raw material seized from Gibson at almost $1 million. At that point, the chief executive said he's letting the U.S. Justice Department know how he's telling his deployments to keep making the instrument. I feel totally abused, he continued. We believe the arrogance of federal powers is impacting me personally, our company personally, and the employees here in Tennessee. It's just plain wrong. It is plain wrong. They went in and they seized wood. They said it was illegal wood. Really? Like there's not a better and a bigger issue going on in the world than having to go into Gibson guitars and deal with them? Really? You know, that's just not right. And the powers that be that are involved with that, you must have something better to do, right? Or is that it? You don't care about the people. That's just plain and simple. That's, points itself out in every story that we read like that. Now here's a story that came out. You may not have remembered, but for years we've been told that Osama bin Laden was the man. And then after 10 years of hiding in a cave with dialysis, finally, the great Barry Soetoro, went in and got Osama. He was the final guy that got him. How about that? Oh, what a guy, that Obama. Says Islamic militant leader Osama bin Laden, the man the United States considers the prime suspect in last week's terror attacks on New York and Washington, denied any role in actions believed to have killed thousands. In a statement issued to the Arabic satellite channel Al Jazeera, based in Qatar, bin Laden said, "The U.S. government has consistently blamed me for being behind every occasion its enemies attack. I would like to assure the world that I did not plan the recent attacks, which seems to have been planned by people for personal reasons," bin Laden's statement says. "I have been living in the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan and following its leader's rules. The current leader does not allow me to execute such operations," bin Laden said. Last Sunday, if you believe bin Laden's denial, Bush said, "No question, he is the prime suspect. No question about that." All right, so bin Laden said he didn't do it, and no one believed him, and now he has been killed by the great Barry Soetoro. Even though bin Laden was reported dead 9 times over the last 10 years. So, what do you make of that, huh? More lies, more government lies. That's what they do. They lie. The government lies and people die. All right. Just checking, making sure we got everything addressed we needed to address today. I believe that we did. I believe that we did. So, that brings us to the end. How about we jump into a meditation? Alright. Go ahead, my friends, and close your eyes. Close your eyes and relax. It's been a long week. It's been a long month. It's been a long year. It's been a long life. But here we are, still making our way on this rock, day by day. Day by day. And sometimes it can be a bit discouraging walking through the path of life, walking along and dealing with all of the fears and the doubts and the challenges that come along. But one thing that we've all been told and informed of over and over and over again is that God never gives more than we can handle. Therefore, there's a reason all this is going on, so that we can overcome these problems. We need to be thankful for those in the world that are causing the problems, because even though we don't like the problems, the fact that they're causing them gives us an opportunity to overcome them and to make the right choices. When we see leaders making bad choices, it gives those who are following the leader an opportunity to make better choices and make better decisions on who they are going to follow. On a daily basis, we have the opportunity, my friends, to make choices in life. Choices of integrity or choices that are not in integrity. It's always an opportunity for us, my friends. So imagine yourself walking along the path of life. Imagine yourself coming to a fork in the road. One side is the path of integrity. The other path is the path of lies. You stand at this choice every single day. Which path will you walk? Take a moment, look at the two paths, and then take a walk down the path of integrity. And as you do, notice that the problems in your life disappear, because you are integrity with the plan for your life. The plan set forth before you came into this existence. As you walk this path of integrity, know that the truths you seek are the truths you will find, for these truths all reside within the integrity. Now as you're walking along, imagine all your chakras are turned on, and that you're properly energized, starting with the chakra at the bottom of the spine. Red is the color, and then raise the energy up to the chakra above, and the color is orange. From the second chakra, which is orange, raise the energy up to the third chakra, the one just below the rib cage. Imagine the color yellow. And then go ahead and raise that energy up to the chakra above it, to the heart chakra. Imagine the color green. Raise the energy up to the chakra above that, to the throat. Imagine the color blue. And then from the throat, go to the third eye, just between the two eyebrows, right in the center of the head. Imagine the color violet, and then to the top of your head, imagine the color indigo. Now, feel all this multicolored energy flowing through your body. Imagine your body filling, overflowing. See the line of protection around your body as this energy flows from inside out. And then extend this energy out into the space where you live. Send this energy of protection out around those that you love. Send this all around the planet. And imagine everybody at the same time doing exactly the same thing, using the God-given energy that we have within ourselves to create the protections that we need. And as you do so, imagine the space brothers and space sisters looking down upon this planet. Imagine them smiling, knowing that Earthlings are doing their part to protect themselves, And the only way you can protect yourself is to step away from fears and doubts. So step away from those fears and those doubts. Imagine love. Imagine from your heart chakra that you're sending a wave of love all around the planet that touches each and every individual. And imagine yourself being touched by the waves from everyone else around the planet. And as love is being sent around the planet, send this love down into the planet. Down into the heart of Mother Earth. And then imagine sending this love up into the cosmos. Up into the sky. And there you are, in the center of this, living between the cosmos and the earth. And as you feel your connection to all of this, hold that thought within your heart. Hold that understanding of oneness within your heart. Imagine a good thought for the world. Peaceful, positive vibes for everybody's lives today. And as you are holding those thoughts, let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. And there you go, my friends. That is our meditation for today. That is our show for today. Today was our 485th show. We're approaching that 500 mark 3 weeks from now. So stay tuned for a lot more cool information coming up. Next week, we're going to have a couple of guests on the show. Stephen Bassett, leading advocate for UFO disclosure. Paul Hellyer, former Minister of Defense from Canada. We've got John Lee, Air Force veteran, who runs piratenews.org. He was the one who made the video We Never Went to the Moon. So we've got those and more things and interesting things coming up for you in the near future. So stay tuned for that. For Dirk Bradshaw, my name's Josh Poet. It's been a pleasure talking to you again all week long. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Check the news. Pay attention to the things we talked about today. Everything's going to be all right. I'll be back next week. Till then, enjoy yourself. Peace. I'm out of here.